So here we are about to start a new house. The first thing though is to demo this old house. The new house is going pretty much in the same location. We're going to change the driveway here and there's a lot of work to be done, but we thought it would be a good idea to show the process of what we do for a new house. So the demo of the house is almost done. We're gonna fill up the last bit in this last dumpster here, and then we're gonna take away the block foundation and the concrete floor and finish cleaning up the whole area. So we finished removing the old block foundation, and as we started digging for the new foundation, we've decided that this ledge is just too hard for our hammer and there's too much of it as well. So we've decided that this foundation is going to be blasted, and that should happen sometime next week. So the blasting company is now here, and they've started drilling their holes, and by this afternoon they will be ready to actually blast this foundation hole. So up close you can see just how much rock is actually here, and it clearly would have been too much for the hammer to take on. So now we have to backfill this hole here because the blaster has to come back one more time and finish this last bit of rock right here, as well as one more trench to do, and that should be it. And now we are getting ready for the second round of blasting. So that should be it for the rock here. 2 rounds of blasting and it's done. So we have the Daewoo out here now, and right now we're going to work with that and the hammer on the Hyundai. And we're going to hammer up a lot of this rock into smaller pieces, and we have to haul most of it away. And you can see really just how much rock is here. You can see now quite a bit of rock has been removed. We've hauled away about 25 loads so far, and there's still a decent amount left, but we're slowly hammering it down into smaller pieces and removing it all. So the foundation hole, as well as the forms for the footings, have been completed, and hopefully this will be poured tomorrow. We also have our sleeves in place for our footing drains, which will go in after. And that should be it for today. And here's another view of the garage, and you can see that these have been drilled and pinned. So the entire foundation has now been poured and their forms have been stripped. The next step for us is to come in here and install our footing drains and then backfill the foundation. And here is another view of the house from the lakeside. So now we've finished the exterior footing drains around the foundation. It's basically just coiled perforated pipe with 3/4 inch stone and filter fabric on top. And once we get the inspection on this, then we're good to backfill. And here's a look at the other side of the house as well. So we are backfilling the foundation now, but what we did first was put a bunch of sand, a more coarse sand, up against the foundation to make sure that the drains work as well as they possibly can. And the original material will go on top of that. So the foundation has been completely backfilled. We added a gravel base in here for the driveway. The garage has to come up a little bit more before it's ready for the floor. And what we have over here is we have put in a sleeve for the water line, which we ran right here, and we've ended it over here for now because the well hasn't been drilled yet over here. But that will be connected in later when that's finished. And what we're going to work on next is the interior footing drains, as well as setting that grinder pump right there, which should go in that corner, and the top of that will be flush with the basement floor. So what we just finished is the electrical conduit that is going to run underneath the garage floor. Now that that's done, we can continue this with 3/4 inch stone over everything to the final grade for the floor to be poured on. And the conduit's going to go through that wall there for his panel inside. And down here on the basement level, we are done with the 3/4 inch stone that is now to grade. The plywood there is temporarily covering the grinder pump. The plumber still has to make their connections for that, but other than that, the footing drains are in and this is ready to go. Okay, so it's been about 5 months since we've been here, and all winter the builders worked on the house, and now that spring is here, we're ready to come in and finish our work. And we are starting with the water line. The well was just done in the back, and we'll take a look at that. And here's the water line that we just finished digging. It's 42 inches deep, and we're going to connect into this sleeve that we dead-ended there last time we were here. And now we have our 3-inch Schedule 40 sleeve in for the water line. And since this trench was such a gradual curve, what we decided to do was heat up the pipe so that we could fit it into the trench. That way pulling the lines through will be much easier. Alright, now we got our inspection done, and now all we're doing is putting down about 1 foot of material and laying out the warning tape. Okay, so today we are starting to work on the septic system, and what we are starting with is the 2-inch line that comes from the effluent pump in the basement. And we drilled our hole today, and there's a few spots for us to that we're going to have to hammer out. And we want to be about 5 feet deep under the driveway, just in case it should ever freeze. 5 feet should be plenty of cover. And we're also going to sleeve it under the driveway because we don't want to ever have to dig that back up. So we're going to put the 2-inch line in a 4-inch sleeve. And here's a closer look from inside the basement. Here's the effluent pump, and it will come out of that and go straight out through the hole that we just drilled today. And our trench is completely dug. We managed to climb up there with the Hyundai and hammer out a few sections. And the 2-inch line is in, and under the driveway is a 4-inch sleeve. And once we drop the tank, we'll be able to make that connection. And as we started to dig for the tank, you can see it's a good thing that we had this area blasted back several months ago, because it was pure rock in this area. And the tank is now in. It is a 1,500 gallon. We ended up putting a little stone in the bottom because we got a little water in the trench from some rain last night. And the 2-inch line enters the tank and 90s down in. Also on the other side of the tank, we stripped for the leaching field. So taking a look at the plan here, we've made some changes from the original septic system, and the first was putting the pump inside the basement. The reason we ended up doing that is the owner wanted to add a bathroom in the basement, and in order for that to happen, the plumbing has to run under the floor, so when it finally exits the house, it's that much deeper, so we wouldn't have been able to gravity feed and all this rock to a tank. and it just would have been too deep. So what we decided to do was recess the pump in the floor like you saw before, and then that 2-inch line comes out of here underneath the driveway. The driveway has been changed to over here, and it comes like this to make the turn into the garage easier. And now the tank here has to gravity feed into the leaching field instead of coming to a pump chamber and then pumping to a leaching field. So this is part of why the tank is higher, but at the same time it solves the problem of being able to have the bathroom in the basement, and the leaching field will go here in the old driveway. This is another reason why we moved the driveway over to here, so that the leaching field won't have a driveway going over it. Alright, we have our septic fill in, and we're now putting in the C33 sand. It is 2 inches, and then once that's in, we'll flatten it out, and then we will lay in the GSTs and begin to fill the forms with the stone and the sand. And now we are beginning to sand the GST units, and we will work our way down the trench, and we will pull each unit out and then leapfrog our way down to the end. And here's the form coming out, and we set it in front of the next form over there. And now we're adding the stone to the final couple of units. And the last thing we add in here is an inspection port, so that you can uncover this and look inside to see the level of the water at any time. And now the leaching field is pretty much finished. We just have to cover up the pipe with some stone here. The D-box is all hooked up, and then we will put our filter fabric down and be able to cover this up. And we now just finished putting a little bit of fill around the pipe here that feeds the D-box, and we leveled it out so that the slope on it is totally uniform. Our fabric is down, and now we are bringing in a load of 1.25 inch material to put on top of this, and then the topsoil will go on top of that. And now we finished backfilling the entire leaching field. We left the stake there for the D-box so we know where it is. And the topsoil is now down. We'll have to touch up a little bit when we final grade. And here in front of the tank we actually added these rocks, which we will landscape around when we final grade. And now what we are working on are the gutter drains. And there are 7 total to collect. There are 3 in the front, 2 on the sides here, and then 2 down here on the lake side. And the gutter drains actually have to enter into a leaching field that will go from here over to front of the bucket there, which is a little over 30 feet, and they are going to be the 18-inch tall infiltrators. And we want to contain the first bit of rain, about an hour of rain, and then there will be an overflow on the leaching field so that it can then finally enter into the lake once they've filled up. And we now have the trench dug. We put a little crushed stone on the bottom of the trench before we laid in the infiltrators. Now we stoned them up and laid our fabric down, and now we're going to start backfilling. And the gutter drains will connect in several spots into this leaching field. And now we're stoning the final section with the end cap on. And here's the connection to the leaching field with the gutter outlet. We will connect in there with a TY, head up the hill, go across the house, and connect in with that downspout over there. And now this downspout is connected in as well, and connected into the line that we did on the other side of the house. And on the other side of the house now, we have these 3 downspouts connecting into this side of the leaching field. And now we're going to backfill this. Now the final 2 downspouts in front of the house are connected. And we are now ready to backfill this entire area. And now that the gutter drains are all hooked into the infiltrator leaching field, we decided to add the overflow as the final step, which is the pipe here on the left. And on the right here is the extension for the footing drain outlet, which we decided to put in the same trench with the overflow of the infiltrators. So today we're working on some of the retaining rocks that we're putting along the side of the house to blend with the grade changes heading down to the lake side of the house. And we even cut the edges of some of the rocks so that they could butt up against the concrete a little bit better. And continuing with our stonework here in the front of the house, we now have this 4 foot by 7 foot wide front step that we've just added, and we finished this last night. And now on the lake side of the house, we are starting our staircase up. We have the first few done already, and it will go up the hill so that they can come in and out of the mudroom entrance and come down to the lake. And the stone staircase is now complete. We put our screen topsoil on the sides. And looking from the top down, we have a little more grading to do up here, and we also threw in a drain right here that exits out down to the left of the bottom step over there. Just in case any water should collect up here, it will go into the drain without eroding down the sides of the stone steps. So it's been several months since we've been here, and what we're working on now is finishing off the final grading with screen topsoil, and we will seed this with mulch. So it's been a few weeks since we've been here, and now you can see that after we spread our screen topsoil over the leaching field, we seeded and mulched that, and the grass has grown in. We finished the driveway. We gravelled it with 3/4 inch Tilcon process on the top. We also added a swale down the side of the property here to control some of the runoff off of the driveway. And the left side of the house has been done as well with seed and mulch, and the owner actually added a few steps going up to their side door. And the grass has also grown in on the lake side, and we even added a few steps going down to the dock as well. So that concludes all of our site work here, all the way from demoing the original house to the final product. And thanks for watching.